Hey guys, welcome to another Fake Nerds Watch. We're going to talk about Lovecraft Country, the first episode, Sundown. I'm joined by my best buds, Brandon T. McClure.
Yep, that's me.
I'm trying to point over there.
Brandon T. McClure.
I'm also joined by Sparkz Witty over there.
Holy shit!
Hey,
Hello.
Sparkz. That's Brandon. That's Sparkz. Hey guys, welcome to another Fake Nerds Watch, where we review a TV show one episode at a time. And we're here to talk about Lovecraft Country. And right off the bat, guys, I love this. I love the show. I knew I was gonna love it. I'm reading the book because it's his copy. I think this was a stellar first episode. It lays the foundation for the mystery and what you can expect for the rest of the season, I think, while also being much like our last show that we covered, Watchmen. All the buzzwords you'd want. It's politically charged. It's awesome in terms of representation and showing like what it is really like in America, while also being heavy into science fiction, which is often what science fiction is good at doing. What did you guys first think of this first episode?
I thought this is probably one of the best pilot episodes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The first scene, you're intrigued. You're like, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I'm into it. And then from there, it just, you get to know who the characters are really well. There's no filler. It's just, here's what we're doing. Here's the story. Here's where we're going. And then by the end of the episode, you're introduced to a monster. And you're just like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah, I'd agree with everything that you guys have said so far. I think the show is extremely well crafted. I can't wait to read the book in the near future while we're watching the show. It's something I really want to do. I really enjoyed the take on it. We're going to get into it in specific details, but I think that one of my favorite things is that I'm a white guy. I haven't watched everything I should probably, but I don't feel like anything has so strongly captured the oppressive horror atmosphere of racism during the segregation period, to a way where like anybody watching it can feel it is 100% synonymous with the feeling you get when you're watching any horror movie where you know they're going to the place where they're in danger. And you have that entirely for this trio the moment they leave on their road trip. It just gets worse and worse, and you're like, this is exactly that same feeling you get in horror movies. And I don't think I've ever seen that captured for that time period so well.
Of course, probably besides like movies that are capturing that era, but this is a show that's about like science fiction monsters and stuff that doesn't maybe exactly show on the surface that what it really is about. But yeah, once you get to some of the stuff that these characters go through, it's really awful, and it's doubly awful because it's all stuff that our country went through. Like Atticus, our main character, like as he's leaving, I think it's Kentucky. He says he flips off the sign, says goodbye, Jim Crow.
Yeah, they're leaving Kentucky,
thinking they're getting away from segregation and racism, and unfortunately, it's 1955. That's not the way America is.
Well, one of the things that I thought was so interesting, and Sparkz, you're absolutely correct about the horror aspect of it, because it's played like a horror movie where the monsters are the white people. And I think what's so well done is that even before you see a monster, like a real monster, not his fever dream, you're already so scared and you're so nervous for these characters when that cop shows up and he's like, this is a Sundown County, and you're like,
right, he's the monster,
man.
Yeah, and you're so tense because you're like, I really hope they make it out of this town in time.
I think in my mind, I thought the best moments is, I'm like, that perfectly crystallizes what I was talking about, is when they drive past the firehouse on their way to the restaurant, and Atticus is the only one watching it, and he's watching the way the dog is acting, he's watching the way the white people are looking at them, and right there you're like, there are monsters. These are the monsters that we're being wary of.
I'm reading the book. Coincidentally, I kind of read up to where this first episode ended, which is nice. And for the most part, it's almost exactly that book. Like even the small shots of there's a fancy silver car that shows up every once in a while, and there's specifically like one like a 2-sentence paragraph that says, and the silver car was there watching from the distance, and there's literally a quick shot of that as Atticus is walking by. I'm like, damn, good job, guys, I love it. It's very faithful to the book, and in all the encounters that Atticus and Letty and George go through, they're just so heinous. And again, like it's a thing of like, oh, we are the real monsters, but like that's what the story's about. And and H.P. Lovecraft being a horrible person that Atticus loves, you know?
I know my history fairly well. I was pretty into history when I was younger. I had no idea that the White House is painted white to cover up the burns. And that reveal.
Yeah,
so
I thought that was really good too. A lot of people didn't know that fact. That's true. But also the White House was white before it.
Mm-hmm.
It was painted. I wanted to Google it. It was painted with I don't have all the facts in front of me, but it was painted with like the resin that they were using in the paint was meant to make the building last. And that's why it was initially painted with like the resin made a white color, and that's why it was started that way. So the White House was always white, but when they repainted it, they painted it white to cover the burns, and that is true.
When he moves the tile to see the burns underneath.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's another. The whole restaurant is a whole nother moment of like it is the feeling of them being in the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the harbinger moment of any
Cabin in the Woods.
Yes, exactly, or of any horror movie. It is that moment of like you're in the bad place.
Yeah,
this is your warning, telling you where you're going is the bad place. Yeah, I thought that was so evocative, and again, like I've seen a lot of films that deal with racism at this time period, but I don't think that they've ever like plateaued it out into a way where like, yes, it feels. I don't mean to like demean those films or television projects. They do make those things feel horrific, but they don't capture the oppressive feeling of it being everywhere. Being everywhere that they go, everywhere they are in danger. I don't think that that's ever been like emoted in a way where you can put yourself into it and you feel it just exactly the same way any horror movie does when they're building that atmosphere.
There's a montage,
really, really good.
There's a really great montage, and with a speech from 1965 about the
Baldwin speech.
Yes, can you live the American dream as a Black person? Yeah. Like with the way America is built. Like, can you do it with the systemic racism that's presented to you? And I'm like, man, to listen to this actual speech going on, plus this montage of them like going to an ice cream store and having to go to the colored section of the ice cream store and like all this stuff and people looking at them like denying them service. And I was like, man, this is also a story about evil cults and monsters. And it's just like, it always takes something like science fiction, again, with like things like Watchmen, like all great science fiction pushes the boundaries of looking at culture and like what's wrong with it. And again, this is another great example of doing that in a time where it's really needed.
It's kind of one of those things where, you know, Sparkz, you mentioned those kinds of movies that do tackle race as a problem, but by the end of the movie, because of the nature of movies, it's always kind of like, and then we won. We beat it, guys. Well done, us. We were the hero. And that's just the nature of movies. But this is able to kind of be like, it never ended. It just changed.
Right.
And you're able to see things in this that you're like, and again, you can deny that these things happened, sure, but you'd be wrong. And you look at it and like this, a lot of this stuff is still going on. We just don't label it. We don't have signs that said, if you're colored, you go here, but we still do that.
Yeah. It's just not as blatant. Yeah. It's a lot more subtle. Yeah. Let's talk about like the actual story of what's going on.
I mean, I kind of want to treat this as sort of the way we did Watchmen. I think the material is dense, dense enough.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of do want to track beat by beat for the most part.
Absolutely, yeah. So of course we start with Atticus and his dream. That's not how I expected the show to start.
With Jamie Chung.
I thought
it
was Alien Jamie Chung, but it's actually just Deja Thoris because he's raiding a Princess of Mars. It's John Carter's lady. And I thought that was just a brilliant way to open the show because it not only shows the scope of the show and what they're eventually going to get to, but it shows Atticus and his imagination, and it immediately shows you what this guy is experiencing. Right, you see him in war garb, even though it looks like it's like almost like World War II, World War I. Atticus was in the Korean War in the 1950s, right? So this takes place in 1955. So the war ended a couple years before that. So he's still dreaming about that. But he loves science fiction so much. So he's got aliens, and you got like Roman soldiers, and you got like Cthulhu, and it's all there. And then Jackie Robinson saves him from Cthulhu, and I'm like, wow, well, you guys are really starting strong. Okay.
The other thing that I really like about it is like how that is tied into when he's walking with the lady a little later, and they are talking about the book he's reading, which is John Carter, and he's talking about him being an ex-Confederate soldier, and that you know he's loving that part of the story, and she's like, that's that's a guy who fought for slavery.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's an ex-Confederate soldier. You can't put an X in front of fighting for slavery.
Yeah.
But what's so powerful about it is the fact that, like, what speaks to Atticus, and he says that, like, you kind of stories are like people, you kind of have to appreciate them for what you love about them in spite of their flaws.
It's like what we just talked about.
And he has to take the opportunity of that, because stories like that are not written with Black people as heroes.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, why his dream is so powerful and so vivid for him, is because it's putting him front and center of a John Carter type story of his mind.
I got Cthulhu. I saw Cthulhu. There was Jackie Robinson, Deja Thoris, War of the Worlds. What were the flying saucers from? Do we know?
I mean, I think you could make an argument for it being any kind of generic interpretation of UFO, because that was the standard, like, Destroy All Humans era. That is the standard, like, 50s representation of alien.
Giant monster movies, aliens.
Because the Martian that comes out of it is meant to be, it is Jamie Chung, and it's meant to be...
It is Jamie Chung?
Yes.
Oh, that was just... Okay.
And it is meant to be an analogy of Deja Thoris.
Does that? I wonder if that means she's in the show.
I'm really anticipating that too.
You don't get Jamie Chung for 5 seconds. No way.
Right.
She's got to be someone from his past.
But she is meant to be an analogy to Deja Thoris. So he's kind of like mixing all those things. But as the Martians, they are coming in those 50s UFOs. I will plug, because I'm going to bring it up a couple of times. I listened to Lovecraft Country Radio, which is the official podcast being put out by HBO to be attached to the show. It has one of the writers on it, and then it's hosted both of them are Black women hosting the podcast. And they were talking about how not even in this episode, but like the prelude episode to the podcast, where they're just kind of talking about how they're going to go about the show. They talked about that coming to the show, that one of the reasons why this is so important, both for I think it's Misha Green is the showrunner and all that. Like they had a lot of conversation about when you love something, you love horror genre, and you do not have the representation of yourself inside of it, you have to create it. And that's something they wanted to instill in the character of Atticus, is he very much longs to see himself represented in the things he loves.
Which sets him on the journey to find his dad. Exactly. He wants to be a hero, which is going to lead him down. It's the whole bunch of fun things happening.
So the other thing in this whole moment that I want to talk about that I thought was really good is how there are no words given to him and the other lady not taking the truck into town. That is driven by the white guy. There's no moment of clear like looks exchanged or words about it. It's just, that's not safe. We're gonna walk into town.
Yeah, like you see the passengers start to go onto that truck, and there's like a one white guy who's kind of just like looking at him, but it's not.
He doesn't even cross his arms. That's the thing.
He's
like he just like glances at him. It's not direct, but Atticus is like, this is just on the line enough that it's not safe.
It's like an unspoken.
And so they both they automatically make the choice, we're walking.
Yeah, and then they have the conversation about oh yeah, you like a book about a slave owner? Cool. Cool. Even if he's an ex, cool.
Yeah.
And then, man, I'm so bad.
We go from there. We go from there to George and Hippolyta.
They don't call her Hippolyta in this. They call her Hippolyta.
Hippolyta.
Which is interesting. I mean, I've never met a Hippolyta before, so I can't be the judge of the name. But from Greek mythology and reading the book, it's like I thought it was wild.
That's what I did too. But Hippolyta. And them and their romantic morning moment, which I thought was awesome.
Yo, man, you can still be romantic and flirty when you're old.
You don't see a lot of old people getting to do that on screen unless it's HBO in general. And you definitely don't get to see old Black couples, not only like sexualized, but romanticized.
Yes. Yeah, that's I was like, oh damn, like get it on, Uncle. Yeah,
I thought that was a really nice that was a really nice opening.
It was gross that the mom was like, or Hippolyta was like, the daughter's in the next room, and he's like, whatever, and then they do it, and she's like, okay, this is gross, I gotta go. I was like,
well, that's what Zara and I were like. I was just watching the moment. I was like, if you know your daughter's in the next room, maybe don't.
When is she not going to be in the next room?
True.
She goes to school.
Seize the moment. And then the moment gets interrupted because Atticus arrives. Oh, and we didn't talk about, but Atticus did explain that he went to the war to get away from his father, and now he's back here because he's missing. He did explain that, and also in the conversation walking with
George is missing.
Which is kind of like the impetus of the adventure. Yeah, I really like George. I really like that whole family dynamic that they established right in the beginning.
Yeah. Man, yeah, the daughter makes comics for her dad. Like when he goes on journeys, she makes like travel comics for him. And like that's like the sweetest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if I haven't gotten to it yet, but I don't know if that's in the book. So if it's not, I haven't gotten to it. But if it's an edition, that's an awesome edition. I just think it's really cute. Like it's such a weird thing. Like you don't think of like Black representation with nerds and stuff, and like everyone reads comic books, right? But you don't ever see that.
Yeah.
And it's just the little things where I'm like, that's so important. It's so cool.
It really goes back to what we're talking about. Like you have to create that.
Yeah.
Because that art is not inviting their representation. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
And so they have to find their ways to create it. And I love that it's like hers has taken the turn for the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Very inspired by like, there's no Black heroes in sci-fi. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to touch on a moment. I don't remember exactly where it occurs. Atticus, I think after he sees them, he starts walking through town. And this is the only moment in the episode where they play modern music as background music while he's going through.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of non-diegetic sound where it exists outside of the world of the story.
Great Gatsby?
That is... So, here's the thing.
This was better than Great Gatsby.
No. What I was going to say is Great Gatsby, that became the point.
Yeah.
And I think that it can be used well, but it can't be like the point. But I do think that it's something to where you can. I think this episode has a really good mix of using music that is of the time when it is characters who are in the moment experiencing the music.
Yeah.
But I do like when things will throw in modern music to be a remix over the moment because they also are acknowledging you are interpreting this in the modern age.
Yes.
This is written for you in the modern age, so you don't have to pretend like this kind of music doesn't exist.
It's not actually 1950s.
Right. Yeah. So for non-diegetic, outside of the world of the story, we can play something like that. And I thought they used it very well. And then I was like, cool, I'm glad this is going to be very spaced out when they do it.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to highlight was that George, right?
Yeah.
He writes a guidebook.
Yes.
For people to go, for Black people
Safe
to go.
Travel.
Safe Negro travel book. Yeah. It's the Green Book. They made a movie that won a bunch of Oscars.
Yeah. I thought this was better handled than the Green Book movie.
Apparently everyone seems to agree.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I like that. I like that he is that kind of person, and that's the reason why he goes out all the time, and he publishes it himself, and it's a huge hit because obviously that sort of thing would be.
And his line about like I have like a deadline, I have to like go to this next city, and there's like
you're the publisher.
Like, yeah, I know how of a hard ass I am.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's good, George. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I really like that. That's where he's evolved. I like that. Like every little thing about the family allows us to both appreciate them as a unit, as they are individually, but it also never lets us forget what the outside world situation is for them.
Yeah.
And that is constantly like, even when they're not saying it, even when they're not acknowledging it, it is always there.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really good way to do that. It's a really good motif for why George is part of this travel adventure, why they're so connected into this story.
Yeah.
And again, like that conversation about like, so Ryan and I talked about this because we were talking about the podcast that they officially released for this. And in it, they bring up a really solid point about, yes, it's great that ending segregation has brought a sense of equal rights, equality for all races. However, there is something that they make the point of this. There is something lost when segregation fell apart because spaces like where they have that block party don't exist in the same way. A place where they know this is our turf. This is our neighborhood. We are for all intents and purposes safe here.
Yeah.
From what's out there. And I think that the Safe Travel Guide is just another reminder of like that leaving what is safe, what is fantasy within reality, which are big themes that they talk about on the podcast for the show, is fantasy versus reality, and living in that space for Black people becomes fantasy because it escapes the whole reality of what's happening in other places in the country, most other places in the country.
Yeah.
I really like the whole block party. I love the whole atmosphere of that area.
Yeah.
That's when we're introduced to Black
Ruby.
Mary.
Yes, Letty.
Yes,
yeah.
Letty and her sister Ruby.
Yeah.
Letitia F. and Lewis.
Yes.
That was so good.
Yeah. Journey Smollett, like everyone's raving about her for obvious reasons. Like that she is so crazy talented. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like she has such charisma. It's like my TV. I have to like clean my TV. It's oozing. It's oozing personality.
I highly
She's
recommend.
fantastic.
Anytime you guys have the opportunity to go back and watch Underground, I highly recommend it because she's main star of that. She's really
yes, the same creator too. Yeah.
Just before we meet her, I did want to touch on that. I was really glad how well handled we directly tackle Lovecraft's racism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Between George and Atticus.
Yep, that's straight from the book too.
Yeah. Just flat out like let's be clear.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And it's kind of hinted at like you appreciate the good in spite of the bad with the John Carter comparison, but like having it very clearly stated with the Lovecraft stuff was nice.
They have a much heavier conversation in the book, and I wonder if they'll talk about it more throughout the series.
Probably.
But yeah, in the book it's a little heavier, which is not a bad thing, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Right. There's gonna be plenty of heavy stuff in here.
What I really liked about that moment is that he's like, oh, I was more of a horror guy. I like H.P. Lovecraft, and then instead of saying, but here's why I don't, he's just like, my dad made me memorize this poem that he wrote about our people.
Mm-hmm.
And to just kind of drive home, H.P. Lovecraft was a huge racist.
Yep. Big old bad man.
Now I have a question. Arkham.
Yeah.
Okay. I was a little confused. Is there a place Arkham, or is it Arkham?
No. Okay. So, Lovecraft Country was the fake country in Massachusetts that Lovecraft used, much like Stephen King uses Maine all the time.
Right.
Like fake cities in there. Lovecraft Country is like it's like a fake. It's almost like Gotham takes place in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's also still in New York in the DC universe. Like Arkham doesn't exist, but it does exist in Lovecraft Country, the material.
Mm-hmm.
But because this is a TV show that's dealing with the reality of Lovecraft maybe being real and like all that stuff being real, it blurs the line between reality and fake. Arkham doesn't actually exist. Arkham does. Mm-hmm. But I think they're just using a Massachusetts like lore, because that's what Lovecraft did.
So the idea in this show would be that while H.P. Lovecraft used a fictional place called Arkham, there is actually a place called Arkham that might have been responsible.
I actually don't know if Arkham's real, but like Lovecraft used, much like Stephen King, actual U.S. geography in his stuff, and like made like Hobbs End and like Innsmouth and other Lovecraftian cities are in like New England and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It was just something that I was just kind of like, is it going to be revealed that there is really a place called Arkham, or is it just Arkham?
In this fiction, most likely yes. Like Arkham does exist, and Lovecraft was right, and all these monsters like did come from this place, and like history tried to scrub it away.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I assume. I haven't read that far ahead.
No, they call them vampires.
Yes. Yes.
I guess that's their closest like modern, not even modern, just pop culture analogy.
Creatures of the night.
For people who read Lovecraft.
So there's the block party.
There's the block party.
Letty meets Atticus for the first time in a long, long time.
She doesn't even meet him. She doesn't talk to him. She just sees him from afar.
Oh, that's right.
Ruby about him.
That's right. Yeah. He was the little boy with the Coke bottle glasses.
Yeah. No, it's her really encounter with Ruby. That's the focus.
That's right.
And I'll spotlight this just real quick because I highly recommend, again, the Lovecraft Country Radio, because I talked about this extensively and better than I will. But there is a sense of like they very pointedly wanted to tackle colorism as it relates to Ruby and Letty. And a lot of this has to do with the writer who's on the episode says herself that she had misgivings about having Journey Smollett play the lead because she is a lighter skinned black girl.
Sure.
And where that comes in is that Letty becomes a representation of fantasy existing in reality, because Letty has lived a life where she thinks that she can get away with things other black people can't. Like why she thinks she can get a job Ruby has been applying to for years and been rejected to. Mm-hmm. It's because she has lighter skin. She has gone around the country without as much trouble because she has lighter black skin. Mm-hmm. And the other implication in it is because Ruby and Marvin are cast to be so dark. This is something that they talk a bit about on the podcast. It is meant to give an implication that Letty is from a different father. Different one parent, but in this case a father. And that is also part of the family dynamic issue between them.
The drama.
But again, like Letty is living that theme of a fantasy existing in the reality of racism in the world because she has a different kind of living than what Ruby goes through.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I thought is played pretty well, where you can pick up on those ideas between their interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they keep bringing up you didn't go to mom's funeral.
Yeah. Yeah, you went and did a whole bunch of other things. There's an amount of it being like the older sibling who is the more responsible one, but it's also this like you live a different life than I can live. Feeling.
Ruby is singing with a band, and then
also I love her.
Yeah,
we had her for one scene, and I love her.
Yeah. And then Letty shows up, and is it Ruby enticing her to come sing, or other people?
Other people, because Ruby is like,
because she don't want it.
All right. Well, she's not like 100% out, but she's also like, this is not the way.
Yeah.
Come crashing in on my. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then they have a duet singing an Elvis Presley song. Very good. They're both great singers.
Yes.
Very nice. But yeah, they definitely have a feud of sorts.
Yeah. I do really like the kind of dynamic, and like I said, like one of the things I like about this pilot, let's call it pilot because this probably wasn't, but like it was, it sets up the characters so perfectly. You understand her relationship with every single member of her family. When Ruby says like, you went out protesting and you were okay. Mm-hmm. Like if I went protesting, I'd be shot.
Yeah.
It's kind of what the argument that they're having is like, you missed mom's funeral and we sent you all that money so you can come to mom's funeral, but you used it to bail out your friend. And
and Letty is here to stay at her sister's house because she needs help. Yeah. And she only ever appears to show up when she needs help, because that's what Ruby says. It's like, it's only gonna be for a couple days, blah blah blah.
Even then, it's expected to be a handout for money, not just.
Yeah,
but it is just a place to stay in this case.
But Ruby's like, you get 2 days. And then apparently,
and then she takes just one.
And then apparently they get into a fight or something because she's hanging out with Atticus and George next.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I'm gonna hang along with you guys, and I'm just gonna get dropped off halfway. Is that okay?
Yeah, I really thought the montage. I remember watching this and thinking that the montage was so unique. They're kind of like traveling montage.
Their travel montage.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah.
Because it wasn't overdone by musical cue. It was just that speech. And in any other show would have done a musical montage, on the road again. But this was just like, here's this speech that really happened, talking about something that we're going to show you on this montage. And I thought that was really unique and really well done.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice way to like allow that to feel like a whole quote and moment, but not feel like something where you bore the audience, because you normally would like have people either listening or show the visual of Baldwin talking or something.
Yeah.
Through that whole length, and at a certain point, like people won't listen to it. But instead you're able to keep them engaged throughout. I thought that was really good too. I also like that it captures a mood of both being slightly upbeat sometimes for the travelers, but also sinister.
Yeah. Because like it shows them having a good time as well as having a bad time.
Right.
Like it shows both sides of it, while like the speech about like
a good time when they're in their own moment, but the moment that there are others, specifically white people involved.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed was in one of the sequences in the montage, they're at the ice cream store and they're talking, they're laughing. Our trio, they're laughing, they're talking. But there's a black family next to them that's been waiting for their ice cream, waiting to order, and that's the scene.
Right, and then a whole bunch of white people on the other corner.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like for our characters, it's upbeat, but for everyone else, we're seeing the realism of what's actually happening.
Yeah, there's a scene where like they drive by when there's the people in line. And it says like the American dream our way, and it's a bunch of it's all white people in a car, and then it's a bunch of black people standing in a line.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this is powerful, man. You're sending the messages, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The duality was there, the duality on display was very well portrayed.
Yeah. Right. It does a really good job of sinking you into the atmosphere before it becomes horror atmosphere.
Yes.
Before it becomes like you're like, oh, it's not great. It's really not great out here. It's really, really bad. It's dangerous. It's going to kill them.
Yeah.
And it gets to that
then
level.
monsters.
Yeah. Before we go too much further on their trip, I do want to touch on the moment where Atticus goes back and makes a phone call to a very long number.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes.
And, he just kept going and going. Like, who's calling?
And they say, you went home, didn't you? And he hasn't said a word. And they say, you shouldn't have. And he hangs up out of fear.
That's spooky.
The Korean. Yeah, that chilled me.
Yeah.
That chilled me.
Yeah, man. I don't know if that's related to another new character we meet later. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
I think that's someone else.
Yeah.
What if it's Jamie Chung?
I thought that too. Is that Jamie Chung?
Jamie, what are you doing in the show? I don't want to go to IMDb. It might ruin it. Yeah, man. That phone call is really spooky.
I don't think it is uninteresting that Jamie Chung is a form of Asian that he decides to pick the Martian as.
Yeah.
Considering we were just involved in World War II. You know, a lot of Asian menace kind of idea at that time.
Like a space invader.
And he's regarding that I don't know that there's anything there, but there could be something there about like you know, he maybe acquired an amount of empathy that other people didn't.
Oh man, this would definitely be like a Watchmen situation. We're going to go to the war and she's going to be there.
Yeah,
maybe. Man. HBO knows what they're doing. I'm telling you.
I just don't think that it's not. I don't think it was Jamie Chung for no reason.
That's what. Yeah.
100%. Anyway, but you could also go to that a lot of alien representation at that time was mixed race Asian. Representation when they would make films. You know, we've seen this in like Flash Gordon and all that kind of stuff. So it could be an allusion to that as well.
Did he go to his dad's place yet or no?
That is when he makes the call.
That's what. Okay, so
when he's at his dad's place.
I didn't know this because I don't. I'm uneducated. Alexander Dumas. He was black. He was part black. I did not know that. I did not know that. So that makes sense why there was multiple copies of
the Count of Monte
Cristo. And I'm like, and it helps because I watched a couple of videos, so this isn't me coming to this realization. But they're like, he's one of the most prominent black authors of like the 19th century. A lot of people don't even know he was black. Yes. And I was like, I'm one of those people. So like, it's
to be fair, like I learned that like 5 years ago.
Yeah. So like,
do you know how I know that?
How?
Django Unchained told us.
Dang, it's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, because they talk about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
Christoph Waltz tells Leo DiCaprio that Alexander Dumas was black.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on. Yeah. Well, there you go. Education. I need to watch that movie again, I guess.
It's like that episode of The Orville where they find out that all their greatest literature was written by a woman and they freak out.
But that's cool that like he attached himself to like to a creative artist like that because he was black and that's so special. Like this guy did it. That means I could do it. And then you know he goes on his Lovecraft adventures.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the idea that there's this mystery built in of from the letter earlier on in the episode where he's talking about how his mother tried to forget where she came from, and his birthright. And he never forgot. He never stopped trying to figure out where his mom came from, where his wife came from. And I think that's such an interesting kind of crux for the dad to just be like, there's something more to my wife.
Yeah.
And I want to know what that is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And how is it related to Lovecraft?
Yeah, the whole mystery around his father is very engaging, very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing it up a lot only because like I think we don't know enough, and I don't even want to begin to extrapolate yet until we're further in.
Mm-hmm. Don't extrapolate too much because like he might, you know.
Right.
Well, we might meet him in the next episode. We don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's the encounter at the diner. We kind of touched on that earlier. I think Letty is so okay. I definitely. They said this on the podcast too that the writer laughed at when Journey Smollett comes out and says, "Get your asses up, we gotta get the fuck out of here." Yeah. I did too. I thought that was like, for as sinister as the moment is, it's that kind of break your tension laughter.
Yeah.
Because the moment leading up to that with the white wall, with her knowing the guy's getting on the phone in the back, is all just like
that moment with George where Letty goes to the bathroom and Atticus is starting to get nervous, and George is like, "No, we're citizens. We have a right to be here. You're a veteran." And I'm like, man, of course, they're obviously right. Like, and like
the whole
shitty.
point, like the whole point of why they're there is because last they checked, this was a
safe
place. That colored people, black people could go.
So I noticed in one of the videos I watched, the place that they pulled into, that entire place burned down and it was boarded up.
Exactly.
So like there was a little foreshadowing there.
Because whoever ran it was punished for serving black people.
Yeah.
And so that is such an uncomfortable, unhappy thing. Yeah. And then we get the car chase.
Yeah. Which I did not. I mean, I guess that's from the trailers. I knew it was there, but I forgot about it. But I'm like, oh my god! Not only are like these bad men. Oh wait, those are the firefighters. Shit. Oh man, this whole town's bad. Bad town. Get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get out.
Bad town.
That was. It's a really good car chase, by the way. I'm pretty critical about car chases most of the time because I feel like it's easy to get pretty boring. But I was very engaged with that car chase. Well done.
Letty drove, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't been able to drive this entire episode, and then she finally got to drive, and she killed it.
Right off the bat, you don't get a lot of modern film doing car chases with those cars.
Yeah,
so that's already a little more like engaging than
cars?
Usual. Yeah, exactly.
Like old trucks.
Man, look at them go 35. I hope they.
Yeah. It's still.
And then the car chase is when we meet the silver car properly.
Yes, the silver car pulls in between them, and the truck full-blown flips over that car.
So the silver car does a Fast and Furious sideways drift, and while it's sideways, it's like there's an invisible shield.
Yes.
That just makes the car go over it. It's like a Magneto move. And so
I had to pause it. I had to stop it because I thought, like, was this an editing problem? Was this did they screw up the stun? And then no, there's something there.
Yeah, exactly. They do a really good job with, like, one dude really just flies out of that truck, and it looked real good. I gotta say, like, I just watched his whole body just go out and fall, and I was like, dang. And we see the mysterious white woman step out and stare at Atticus, and then they drive.
Who is a gender swap from the book? It's just a creepy white dude from there, as far as I know. But it's definitely the same character.
Well, we meet a creepy white dude at the end of this.
A different character though.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a lot of creepy white dudes in this, as you should expect.
I like that sequence a whole lot.
Is this when they escape? They escape the guys just to meet the sheriff?
No. This is where we get the break where they end up with Marvin,
right?
Letty's older brother,
right?
And there we have one of my favorite moments where Atticus is talking to George, and he says, he never wrote me a single letter. While I was over there. Again,
this is straight from the book, and this was so powerful. Yeah, like my dad, he didn't care about me, and like we fought. Like as soon as I came back, we fought, and like when I didn't mention when Atticus goes to George's place, there's a hole in the wall that he focuses on for a very quick second. In the book, Atticus throws George into the wall, or sorry, his dad into the wall.
Yeah.
It's just a very brief moment in the show, and I'm
like, that's cool.
Shit, dude. They even show it, but don't even mention it. I'm like, this is so good. But
well, he says it in his speech. He's like, last time we talked, he threw me into the wall.
Or he threw me. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that moment in his apartment, like the quick flash, I'm like, that's good stuff. But yeah, he never wrote me. Thank you. Sorry, he never wrote me. Like he. Anytime your dad came to visit me, he would not leave until I brought you up. He would stay past 10, 11, midnight until I brought you up. Like, he was just stubborn. He's as stubborn as you are. And I'm like, oh, my God.
And then the thing is, like, the last letter, the letter he finally gets is the letter that's like, hey, man, I need this.
Yeah.
You
want to come find your birthright?
But yeah, and it's a powerful thing, like the argument of, I don't like you going to fight in a war for people who don't want you to be here in America, which, like, that is what it is. When he's walking through the town, he sees a army recruiter. I guarantee you that's the same army recruiter who recruited him, because they give each other a look that's not like they don't know each other. Yeah.
Because the war was only a couple years ago, so I wouldn't be surprised if, like, oh man, you sent me to war. F you, buddy.
Yeah, or just an acknowledgement of like, you could even say it's an acknowledgement of like, I'm glad you made it back.
That's it.
There's a lot you can read in that moment because they don't tell you exactly what that exchange is on either end of what they're feeling, which I'm glad. I'm glad they don't telegraph everything about what you should feel. But the other thing I really like is that George talks about how he feels bad about not defending his dad, Atticus's dad, enough. Because he was the younger brother, and he's like, I really regret that. And Atticus is like, cool. Do you really regret not protecting me?
Yeah, from him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. God.
And then immediately followed up with like George's total attitude about how he handled that when Letty is arguing and fighting with her brother, and Atticus wants to go, and he's like, that's family business, which you understand is exactly the same thing George would say to himself about his brother and Atticus.
Yeah. It's real
rough.
tense. Yeah, it's rough. But yeah, so Letty was planning to stay there. It doesn't look like that's probably gonna happen anymore.
No, she definitely, because she gets into the car and they're just kind of look at each other and go, okay.
Oh, I guess she's still
exactly. Yeah, no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah.
I did want to touch on because I think it happens there at Marvin's house, where George is. There are two things that are really sweet about this. George is having his daughter read to him out of her memory what her travel comic is while he's looking at the pages, which is so cool, and I think that's so sweet. And then he talks to his wife, Hippolyta, and he says there is a tone of like, next time I think you should come with me. And she has this reaction to it.
Yes.
That's almost like, is this his way of saying, I don't know if I make it home?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It definitely, the conversation and the way that like, it was more sinister than I think it's supposed to be.
Right.
Like, I feel like there's something like, because we've seen what the next episode, like the trailer for the next episode, some shit with Hippolyta goes on.
Right.
So there's something between them that maybe this was like a code, like, hey, this is it. This is the time or something, like his way of sending her a message. Because like, it sounded like, hey, babe, how are you? And like, it did not seem like that.
She has a strong reaction.
Yeah, she has a strong reaction to what he was saying. So I bet that was like some type of code or something.
Yeah, my interpretation with just this episode's information is that, he was scared about just the interaction they'd already had, because somewhere where you used to be safe is no longer safe.
Yeah.
And that might be the implication of him saying, in case I don't make it, I love you.
It makes me wonder how much George knows about all the spooky shit that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really up in the air for that decision. So now we get into they are close looking for what Atticus is looking for Artem.
Yeah.
And they can't find it.
They're looking for a road to a bridge.
Exactly. And they've been looking up and down this area all day. Too long all day because a cop pulls up.
Oh, man. This is, again, another super tense moment, like straight from a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, and he introduces, so you all know what a sundown town is, and they say yes, and he's like, well, this is a sundown county.
What a horrible, inhumane concept.
Yes, sundown towns are horrific. This is not, for me, and I believe for you as well, this is not a Watchmen moment where we'd never heard of Tulsa before. We've heard of sundown
Unfortunately,
towns. I'm aware of sundown towns.
Right.
But I will say I'd never heard of them like necessarily a sundown county. I've never heard of it referred to in that way.
That sounds like something people say just to get.
But they are horrific thing where it was just accepted that in these places, if black people are there after dark, you get to do whatever you want to them, which is
primarily hang them.
Primarily hang them.
Yeah.
Horrific. Truly scary, and certainly the most tense that we get up to this point in the episode is this exchange. And they're like, "All right, well, we'll go up that way," and he's like, "I mean, if you go up that way, you're not going to make it in 6 minutes unless you speed, in which case I'd have to pull you over."
Yeah, like the sun.
Man, this guy.
The sun sets at like 7:06, and you only have like 5. It's 5 minutes. I don't know.
6 or 7 minutes. And it's like, then we'll head south, and it's like that might work. Yeah, and you can tell this guy is approaching already, and Atticus is like, "Can I make a U-turn here?" And he's like, "No,
you're smart.
Oh, you're smart."
Can I say about this moment real quick?
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Even when there were actual monsters on screen, I found this to be the most terrifying moment in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Props to that actor. Like, no one ever wants to play like a racist.
I was
like,
thinking
that,
the same thing.
That dude.
Like, it must suck to play this guy.
Yeah, like, man, I got a part in a new HBO show. Oh, I'm the super racist. But like, that dude played it. Shit, man, I don't like that guy at all. He's a bad man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He should be a villain in Dead by Daylight.
That's
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is. It's because, you know, like, usually horror stuff, Lovecraft's, whatever, it's all meant to be, you know, metaphors for the horrific things we experience in real life. We're getting both in this show. We're getting the horrific things that you can experience in real life and the monsters.
Well,
and like
fair,
real life monsters are scary.
To be fair, like Lovecraft does the gamma of horror much like a Stephen King. It's just like the stuff the cosmic beyond stuff is like he pioneered that stuff, but he also wrote like stuff about zombies and shit. So,
No, for sure. All I mean is that like it's I don't think it's a mistake that you feel the most afraid of this guy.
Oh yeah,
over the Shoggoths.
No, I feel what you.
That appear later. It is meant to feel like a real present. This happens. Yeah. This happened. This still happens. Feel.
Yeah.
And I thought they executed that really well. And so, yeah, he gets the permission for the U-turn, so they go.
And again, like the
tense scene, because he can only go so fast.
25 miles an hour. And he's just like on that speedometer, and the cops even starting to ram him, but he's sticking to his guard.
And he gives them all this opportunity, and they cross the county line in time, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, something from the book. Once they pass the county line, the cop shoots one of his mirrors off as he passes the county line. He gets out of his car and he shoots it. Like, I don't think that's necessary for what happens after anyway. But that's just something from the book, and I'm like, man, that guy's just an extra asshole. Yeah, it's real bad. But then it doesn't matter because there's a bunch of cops or a bunch of bad people at the end.
Who the sheriff catches up to, and they take them into the woods.
Yeah.
Can I real quickly? Like, I thought that this moment is extra terrifying when we're living in 2020, and I don't. They filmed the show last year. They did not intend this to be so relevant, but there were just lynchings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In real life, there were just lynchings.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're watching this moment, and you're like, sure, Sundown counties might not be a thing anymore, but not officially. Because this still happened.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess you could say it's great that there were cosmic monsters from other realities here to save our heroes and eat the racists.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a shock, though, when that started. It's like, oh right, there are real monsters in this.
Yes, and I wasn't sure how quick we were going to get to this stuff because I was curious, like the pace of the book and the pace of the show. Unless they add a bunch of stuff for like another season, it feels like they're going to go through this entire book because they're going through it pretty fast. Getting to Artem is like.
I just want to dive in on that real quick. On the official podcast, what they talked about is that the entire writing staff and Misha Green, they all got together and they all said, you know, we are going to know this book inside and out. We are going to talk through every detail of it, and we're going to like really dive ourselves completely into this story and know exactly what it's. Just every piece of it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take a spaceship and we're going to go to space and we're going to live in this universe.
Yeah.
So I don't think the concept is to 100%. I think it is to pay a lot of stuff to the book, but this is them taking it and extrapolating it out further and going beyond what the book has.
That's cool.
So I think that is like, whether we see that this season or we just see it later, their intention is to keep what is core of that story because they're very deeply familiar with it and they very much care about it, but they want to explore things even further beyond.
No, yeah, this was the pilot, so it could just be like this. They did the setup from the book just to establish everything, then they can go wild.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Yeah.
Right. I just know that that's what they're saying. So to even think of like anything further past the season, because I can't even imagine that the pace they're going, that these 10 episodes don't have more than what's in that book. At some point, they're going to live in the world of this book, but they're going to go much further with it, which I think is really cool. I'm really glad that it took as long as it did for the creatures to show up.
I agree.
I am glad that this was a totally, other than the dream, standard story about this, just so all of that is there. And then we get the Shoggoths.
Yes.
Shoggoths.
Now what I'm curious about is do the bad people who live in this town not know about these creatures? Because they all seem everyone in there seemed like really scared and didn't know what was there.
Well, my theory would be that they've never explored these particular woods before.
Okay.
Because they've never had a reason to. We know they're near Artem.
Yeah.
And that the only reason they're there is because they got the call from the sheriff.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
They got the radio in from the sheriff, so that's why they're there.
So they're out of their element.
They've never gone to these woods before, so this is a more localized thing. They have not encountered this before.
That makes sense. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Works for me.
That's how I understood it as well.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And there is something horrific about how just disgusting the white supremacy of the sheriff is, that even once they're in the cabin faced with these monsters, he's still against the black people.
He's the sheriff's the one who gets monsterized, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, even like they're on the ground, and he's still like got his gun trained on them, and I'm like, bro, you got bigger concerns right now, don't you think? Look at yourself.
Yeah.
And
there's a piece missing from your arm.
Yes, and his voice was being digitally altered, but at first I wasn't sure if it was or not. It was just like it was like straining his voice, but I'm like, oh no, he is turning into a monster. And then oh yeah, he's definitely turning into a monster. Great effects.
Yes,
like totally. I don't know if there's any practical, but man, the CGI is real good.
The creatures look really good. The whole breakdown. His wound looked really cool.
It was so gross.
One of my favorite parts of that whole exchange. I'm so glad that George made it. I was nervous about George. I'm so glad George gets to the cabin, and then as Letty is running to the car to save them, a lot of details about how that scene came about are on the podcast. I highly recommend people check it out.
Oh yeah,
I won't go into it. But when the sheriff starts turning. Because it's like, hey, what happens when a vampire bites you? And George is just standing there looking at the other cop, and he's like, "You need to shoot him."
Yeah,
one of my favorite lines of the whole episode.
Oh, yeah.
Just
George,
like the way he says it, he's just like, "You need to shoot him. You need to shoot him."
George is quoting. First, he quotes Dracula,
right?
Children of the Night,
because he makes
to them.
That's how they make the comparison of like, oh, they're responding to the light. Yeah,
I just love again, like these are both like
read.
Yeah, they're well read. They're nerdy. Like, dude, Atticus is a buff. Like, he's like the perfect dude. He's like super nerdy, and like he went to war. He's like a hero. Like what cool guys. And also they're they're survivors.
He's everything I dreamed I could be.
Yeah, he's got those glasses, the ones where you go like this with, and I'm like, oh, those are so old school.
The Coke bottle glasses.
I love those.
Yeah.
I love those old fashioned glasses that loop around your ear.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I love those little things.
I'm also glad, bringing it up, I'm also glad that there was a tiny little detail about Letty's nerdiness. Because she was the only female member of the science fiction club
in like 5th grade or something.
High school, whatever they were in.
Yeah, that's a cute touch. Yeah,
which is a really nice thing of like, hey, Letty cares about some shit.
Yeah,
in the nerd world.
Yeah, I'm sure she's not like sprouting out stuff when she's hanging out with people, but like she's a nerd. She can't fight it.
Right.
So a show goth, it doesn't matter what they look like in the show. I think they look dope. But what they're supposed to look like is a terrible, indescribable thing, vaster than any subway train, a shapeless congeries of protoplasmic bubbles, faintly self-luminous, and with myriads of temporary eyes forming and unforming as pustules. We kind of got that. I'm cool.
So we got a lot of that. So now let me say real quickly about Lovecraft's descriptions of his monsters. A lot of them say indescribable.
Yes,
right.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Lovecraft, describe them. You're a writer. Describe them.
Well, that's the thing. He describes
he wants to give you just enough details, and the rest he wants your imagination to fill in.
Because
and that's where I'm
after I described like indescribable, I just listed off like 10 things about how the eyes form and unform, and it's a gelatinous blob, and it's supposed to be more like the beekeeper from Doom Patrol, how she's like a gelatinous blob.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. But these are like
I'm talking about, like when you look at Lovecraft, most of his monsters are described as indescribable, and some people criticize that. I'm kind of one of them, of like laziness. But the thing is, he gives you so much leeway in descriptions that you can do whatever you want with his monsters. You can make them look however you want.
That's right. Exactly. That's why it's so effective. And as someone who's read a lot of Lovecraft, I will give you some laziness, but I think that's an oversimplification of his entire work. I'm just going to say that.
That's fair. I haven't read all of his work. I haven't read all of his work. I'm not going to even claim to.
Yeah. In the midst of all this, one of my favorite parts is once Letty gets back and they have the car with them, they lay out all the flares.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they have a field of flares against them, which I think
the
looks
Alan
really
Wake
cool.
moment.
And then they respond to some kind of dog whistle and take off.
Yes.
Yeah,
now is this the party that was on the phone with Atticus? Is this the silver car people? Is this a third party? Ooh.
Questions abound.
Questions abound.
My instinct says it's the silver car people.
Yeah.
But it could be something else.
Yeah. It looks like because the silver car saved our trio.
They sent them out to save them and then pulled them back.
Yes. So I'm curious if maybe they are like the bloodhounds for the crazy white people. Part of the cult. Maybe what's the dad's name? Do we know the dad's name?
Oh,
I read the book. I've read 50 pages of the book. I don't know if they've said his name, at least in the show. But the dad might be a part of this, or he went to go discover the mom was totally a part of it.
I think they did. I'm gonna take a look.
I think they did. I don't remember. I'm bad with names when it comes to TV shows.
They don't say it as much as George or Atticus' nickname is Tick. That's a cool name.
I'm specifically thinking of when he was about to walk into the bar, and I think the guy says, "You're blank's son."
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or blank's boy.
The bartender's gay.
Yes. Also, the barkeep's guy, his name is Tree.
His name is Montrose.
Did they ever say Montrose?
Pretty sure they did.
Montrose Freeman.
Oh, was that his last name, Freeman?
I think so.
I don't remember. Yeah, man. So they have a battle with some monsters. They survive, luckily. The whistle blows. They still got to get to Artem. So
they walk.
So yeah, they walk. Wait. Oh yeah, they do walk. Yeah. So again, this is something I'm curious about the structure of the show, because in the book they have an entire psychological journey traveling to Artem. That's not really. It's more just stuff in their head.
Right.
Whereas here they just get there. And I'm curious if we're going to see what they went through in that journey.
It's probably going to be worked back in some other way. Yeah,
yes,
I imagine so.
Because that stuff's I guess you
don't have enough time in an episode, and you need to give the episode a cliffhanger moment, and the cliffhanger moment couldn't just be the dog whistle.
The show is already an hour and 5 minutes. So you gotta kind of wrap it up.
Right, yeah.
It ends very curiously. They find Artem. They
find the silver car.
They find the silver car. They go into a house, right?
Yes.
With all the crazy.
Well, they don't go in yet. They just get a white man who shows up.
Oh yes, he opens the door.
And he says, "Welcome home."
Yes, welcome home.
A giant mansion.
Yes, a giant mansion.
Yes. Artem Asylum. Yeah. Man, it's probably just the makeup or that dude's jawline. Unfortunately, that dude looks like he's wearing a skin suit. He's like the guy from Men in Black. I need sugar. It looks like that to me, and it's probably just the way the guy looks. I'm so sorry.
Sure.
But I'm like, man, that guy's definitely an alien for sure.
Definitely something up with that dude.
Yeah.
He's a Martian.
Yeah. He's a Martian. Right. Yes. He's Jamie Chung.
And that's where the episode ends. And then we got a coming this season preview.
And just so many.
Which I did not see.
Don't worry.
Okay,
about it.
we're not really going to dig into it. I highly recommend watching it. A lot of cool stuff.
I watched on HBO Max and they didn't include it.
Oh, if you stay all the way to the credits, because we watched it on HBO Max too. It's after the credits. Yep.
Never mind. Should have stayed towards the end of the credits.
You roll through those credits and there it is, baby.
I'm a comic book movie fan. I should know to stay towards the end of the credits.
You always gotta stay after the credits.
Oh yeah, especially with HBO, they usually do that. Westworld does that a lot.
Yeah.
Watchmen did it once.
Watchmen did it every time.
Oh yeah, it did every time. It's the Aussie stuff. Excuse me.
One episode of Watchmen, if I remember correctly, there's one episode of Watchmen that is a scene where the rest is something else, but I don't remember exactly what that was.
Every episode of Watchmen after the credits had a preview of the next episode.
Oh, I meant there's a scene.
No, I get you, and I don't remember what that scene is. That sounds vaguely familiar.
It's Jeremy Irons digging out of the dungeon with a horseshoe.
Jesus.
The bees need.
Yes.
I love it.
That's pretty much it. We discussed all the way through that first episode. I'm super intrigued with everything about where this is going to go. I highly look forward. I highly look forward to doing week by week discussions whenever we're able to schedule it.
I'm very glad we were able to do this.
In this heat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you can't tell, it's hot. Southern California.
We're sweaty boys.
I love when science fiction can challenge me, or excuse me, when any fiction can challenge me, but especially when it's genre. Because like that's when it does this well, it does it super well. Like again, like Watchmen. Like this show, like it blends real world problems with like insane science fiction concepts that like, you know, giant Cthulhu monsters, but also like real world racism. Like they can exist at the same time, and they influence each other. And that's what kind of this whole book is about. It's about Lovecraft being a jerk and people's like influence of that. And like, there's a reason all those people are white in that building. I'm just saying, it's exciting. It's a dope premise, and I can't wait to read more and watch more. It's the first time I've ever done that, like read and watch something. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. I really like this first episode. Might be one of the best first episodes I've seen in years. Very excited for the rest of the series.
Yes, I'm really pleased with a lot of it. I'm really pleased with the representation for Black people going on. I think because this episode is primarily focused on a display of what segregation was like at that moment in time, what it felt like. And I think they capture that feeling so well in a way that anyone can empathize with, and is very oppressive. Yeah, as it should be, as it should feel. And I'm really connected with all the characters. I think all the characters are super engaging.
Oh yeah.
Both you know, the main cast and then the side characters who we've only met for a little bit, but
and there's still so many more characters too, which is exciting.
There's Ruby, who we know we'll see more of because we saw season preview.
Yeah.
You will see more of Ruby. I'm super stoked about it. Yes, I really think this is really good. Boy, people who didn't like Watchmen because they thought Watchmen was hitting too hard on talking about racism are not going to want to watch this show.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful that it exists. I think that's really incredible. I'm super stoked for all of this.
Yeah. Honestly, good on HBO, because like I could see another studio or another company taking this and taking out some of the politics of it. And it's kind of hard because this book is so ingrained with that, so it's like impossible to even do that.
I'm just so glad this is a show and not a film.
Yes.
Because you can't get like this textual with your atmosphere.
You can't sit with it
unless you're making a show.
It kind of feels like HBO was like, oh, you know, they really didn't like that Confederate idea. Let's do the opposite of that all the time.
God, I forgot that.
That is, man, the greatest blunder that ever. That it's just sweep it under the rug, sweep it pre-pro, nope, sweep it, nope, scripts burn them. God,
the creators of Game of Thrones, George R. R. Martin.
No, he wasn't involved.
I don't know, no, but that's the thing is like HBO is just like, yeah, George R. R. Martin created Game of Thrones, not the guys who wanted to do Confederacy.
Oh yeah,
DB and DB. Okay, I think that'll do it for this week. Good Fake Nerds Watch Talk. This was nice.
Good talk, everyone.
Brandon, I'm really glad you're along with us for this one.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm glad too.
Yeah. So, hey, guys, if you like this video, I'm going to try to do an outro because I've never done one before. Hey, guys, doing an outro. Why don't you like this video? Why don't you subscribe? Why don't you hit that bell? Why don't you give us a few dingers? Why don't you subscribe to our Patreon? Why don't you go to my friend's Twitter, BT McClure at twitter.com. Hey, Brandon, why don't you do this for me?
To the whole thing?
You can't do it without a script.
No, I got this. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel if you like more of this series, Fake Nerds Watch. We got tons of cool stuff. If you're watching shows like Watchmen, we got that. Swamp Thing's coming to CW. Watch our after show for Swamp Thing.
Absolutely. The Boys is coming back. Catch up with season 1.
We got an Umbrella Academy.
Yes, so I was going to say the same thing. Sometime in the near future, we'll have an Umbrella Academy season 2 Fake Nerds Watch with Ben.
We've got other shows on here: Fake Nerd Book Club, Fake Nerd Book Club, Basement Arcade. We got a Fake Nerd podcast series, which we're doing every Sunday. This week we're doing DC Fandom, even though it's been cut in half. We'll see what happens there.
A lot of the big stuff is still this weekend.
That's true. So plenty to talk about, plenty of stuff to find. Subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss any of it. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ryan, where can they find you?
I'm at DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
Sparkz.
You can find me currently reading through the Tom King Batman run, picking up where I left off after rereading everything up to that point, going entirely all the way through because of this guy picking it for our book club.
I didn't make him do it.
So you can find me doing that at Sparkz Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Until next episode of Lovecraft Country, guys, stay fake nerds.